So, folks, I wanted to talk a little bit to you guys about the trucking industry because one of the bugbears of the Trump administration is that immigrants, both documented and undocumented, have the ability to get driver's licenses. And this really bothers the people in the Trump admin. Because they feel like if you are an immigrant, you shouldn't be able to get a fully fledged license. And if you're undocumented, you double shouldn't get one because you're undocumented. Now, why do some states offer driver's licenses to undocumented folks? Because they are going to drive cars if they are denied driver's licenses. We know that because that's what happens in states that don't issue driver's licenses to undocumented folks. What this winds up doing is actually putting more people in danger. It puts undocumented immigrants in a position of desperation. And also, it leaves them in the dark as to how to safely operate a motor vehicle in line with the laws and regulations of the United States. If you offer the licensing path for undocumented immigrants, what that means is more people are driving more safely. It is a good policy. It is a good policy to have more trained, safe drivers rather than fewer trained, safe drivers. It's not difficult to wrap your head around here. Because of all of the fear-mongering around undocumented immigrants, the Trump administration chose to remove the ability of immigrants in the United States to get commercial driver's licenses. Now, this process started back in March, and it targets around some 200,000 people. That's around 10% of the trucking workforce. Of course, as you might imagine, this has effects on how much it costs to ship things, especially after the president massively causes a massive jump in oil prices. I guess this is just your warning here. But before we get to some new disturbing data, just wanted to look a little bit more into this licensing issue. Here's a piece by CBS, all right?
In March, some 200,000 immigrants began losing their commercial driver's licenses, which are required to operate large vehicles like semi-trucks, buses, and tractor-trailers. It's part of a series of moves by the Trump administration to limit who can drive those vehicles after some high-profile crashes involving foreign-born drivers. Lisa Desjardins is back now with the story.
As the backbone of America, everybody needs their goods.
For over a decade, come rain or shine, Minor Solares of Portland, Oregon, drove a semi-truck across the western U.S. But suddenly, he has to end that career, and with it, the main source of income for his family of 5.
When I first heard of it, my heart started racing. I feared for the worst. As soon as I heard it, I was like, hey, I'm going to lose my license. I'm not going to be able to renew.
In March, a Trump administration rule took effect, barring some groups of immigrants with temporary status, including DACA recipients like Solares, from getting or renewing their commercial driver's licenses. Citing a handful of fatal crashes involving immigrant truckers, the rule also applies to refugees and asylum seekers.
Yeah, so basically, you may remember last year, there were a number of stories that got pushed in the mainstream media about immigrants getting into car accidents. And if you thought that that was kind of weird, how a bunch of folks started fear-mongering about that for maybe a couple weeks. Well, basically it manufactured consent to strip a huge swath of immigrants of the ability to get commercial licenses and ended their ability to renew their commercial licenses.
Solares was brought to the U.S. illegally from Guatemala when he was 2 years old. At 14, he enrolled in DACA, which allowed him to legally work in the U.S., ultimately owning his own trucks.
I love the job.
He's driven for 12 years, but late last month, his license expired. And due to the new rule, he can't renew it.
They use the word safety. You're using it as a disguise. I believe your intentions are different, and safety could be one of them, but you're using that more of a playing card more than reality of what you're really trying to do.
I mean, he's right. Like, there's not really much more to this. Like, it is just a veneer to justify racist policy. That's it. Full stop. Right? And yeah, it's a known fact that American citizens never get in car accidents. Exactly, Jess Tug's books. I wanted to put out this. This is from Freight Waves.
Chaotic that we have now returned back to COVID in the terms of spot rates.
I don't think it's chaotic, Zach. I think it's incredibly bullish. I don't think chaos is the right term. There is no chaos. It is absolutely one direction.
One direction.
It is going in that direction, and it is incredibly bullish. I don't think it's chaos. Now, maybe
if you're procuring freight,
compared to where we were a year ago, freight is just chaotic, period.
Yeah.
It has been incredibly volatile over the last couple of years. It might be the most volatile commodity on the planet. Mm-hmm. But what I think is really interesting is there's no chaos happening. It is one direction, and it is going up there. It is the absolute. Harry Styles will be super proud of what's happening here because it is going up, up, up. And that's what we have to say. We hit a brand new record of $3.69 yesterday, or I should say, the old record was $3.68. And I actually tweeted, will we hit a new record? We're off by 14 cents. Last week during Road Check Week, we hit $3.61. So the question was, would we see follow through this week? And we absolutely got the answer today. Brand new record at $3.69.
Yeah, this is the daily print.
So this is the daily print. This is the daily print. This is not the weekly print. The highest daily print was $3.68. Mm-hmm. This will drive the weekly print. We're headed in. Anyone who's been around trucking knows that holidays, you do see higher rates going into holiday weekends. You do see higher tender rejections going to holiday weekends. This year's no different. I think the big question we all asked ourselves was during Road Check Week, would we have a follow-on this week? Would we continue to see tightness this week? And the answer is an absolutely resounding yes. And the question is now, I think this is a lower number for what we'll see all weekend. I think this is going to continue to rally through the weekend. That's going to bring the weekly rate way up. And so I don't see any softness coming into Memorial Day. The question is what happens post-Memorial Day? And Zach, I think we're up. I think it's going to continue.
Now, you might be forgiven for listening to that and hearing their cheery tone and thinking, oh, so this is good. It's good that this has gone all the way back up to COVID levels. What is a trucking spot rate? When you are talking about trucking spot rates, it is basically considered how trucking or freight transportation is calculated per mile. So if, for example, the price goes to $5 per mile, that means that it costs more to ship anything by the mile. So when you see a graph like this, I'm going to try and open it here nice and big for you guys, that shows that the rate has gone up from around $2.25 roughly in 2025 to $3.69, a high compared even to COVID. That means it's costing about 50% more to ship stuff. That's bad. And that is a combination of truckers being kicked out of the job market by the Trump administration's licensing policy, and also, of course, the war in Iran. Both of these things are entirely attributable to Donald Trump. And both of these things are going to trickle down, as it were, throughout the entire economy. Literally everything is going to get more expensive because of this, because everything is going to be more expensive to ship. So I hope you've enjoyed the prices you've been seeing recently, because if this spike is any indicator, we're going to see those prices continue to go up. Why is it that bad things trickle down, but the good things don't? Because the people at the top keep all the good shit for themselves. They want the price to trickle down to affect you, so they don't have to hold on to that cost. You know? They're incentivized to keep as much of the good shit as they can. They are disincentivized to hold on to the main brunt of any cost increase. Why were they being so cheery about it? Because it means, like, if you are in the shipping business, your business is probably going to be making a lot of money. You know, because you can hide more cuts for profits in those price increases for shipping. You know? So shipping companies probably stand to make money. Companies trading and speculating on the spot freight market are probably also going to be doing pretty well. Yeah, some people, as per usual, when all of the costs are shifted onto working people, some people still make a shit ton of money. You know, kind of like the saying about casinos, the house always wins. Like, incredibly wealthy capitalists always win. When the economy collapses, you know, provided they aren't over leveraged and that their finances don't collapse with the rest of the economy, they're in a prime position to sweep in and buy up a bunch of assets for cheap after everyone else has gone bust. You know, it's what happens every time the economy crashes. You get a consolidation of wealth, and some people make a shit ton of money. So anyway, just buckle in, folks, because we are in for a bumpy 2026, and I have a feeling a bumpy 2027 and a bumpy 2028 as well. But who knows? You know, maybe I'm just a pessimist. So, folks, get organized. Join your local Dems. Join your local DSA. If you need help, join our Discord. Reach out to GamerG for help with DSA. Reach out to Dragonfly for help with your local Dems. And also, if you got anything out of this, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and leave a comment. Comments longer than 8 words really help in the algorithm. And last but not least, check out ImogeneOlivia.com. Gender euphoric lingerie designed from the ground up for trans femmes, also tested with cis men, cis women, non-binary folks. Go check it out, ImogeneOlivia.com. It is comfortable, sexy, non-tuck lingerie. Link down in the description. Let's keep on going.
Riverboat deck is going to town. All the viewers gather round. Twitch and YouTube is where she streams. All that content is bursting the scenes. Politics, gaming, and plenty more. Her sense of fashion you'll adore. So grab your stuff and hop aboard. We're going straight to Jack's Discord.